Welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Wow, this is our last segment in 2019. I can't believe it. Wow, it's unbelievable. I'm getting older. The world is getting older. We're all getting older here. But anyway, glad to be back here. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. You know, we talk a lot about sports gambling here on this show. We talk about it a lot, not just because it's Las Vegas and sports gambling. But
we don't talk about it enough.
Well, we could talk about it more, but, you know, sports gambling, is eventually it's going to be legalized throughout the country. We all know that. And we're working on that now. But, you know, as far as sports handicapping goes and people that are around gambling, sports gambling, it's always been dominated, I guess you could say, by men. But as I've noticed over the course, particularly over the last several years or so, there are more women that are getting involved in this. And I think that is a good thing. I don't care what your gender is. If you're good at what you do, you know, I mean, all the power to you, right? And we've talked to some people within the business, both men and women, that do this for a living. So the reason why I say that is the female we have in studio with us right now. Her name is Mintybets, and she works for Wager Talk, and she does a great job in covering, you know, especially the NFL and sports gambling in general. Minty, it's nice to look at you in the studio, not have to look at JD. It's a nice change of pace for me. Anyway, thanks for being here. How you doing?
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Okay, so give me a little bit of your background. My understanding is that you grew up here in Las Vegas. I don't talk to a lot of people that have spent their entire lives here, although I've been here 20 years. You could argue that that's a lifetime. JD's only been here a few years, but I love this town. So what is it like being here your whole life, growing up here?
Yeah, well, 20 years is almost my lifetime. I'm 26 now. And
God, I sound so old. Jeez.
I was born and raised here. I've lived on the same side of town my whole life. I love it here. Growing up, I didn't like it here because there wasn't a lot to do. But now that I'm over 21, I can gamble, I can drink, I can do whatever. I love it. And I love what I do. I'm a sports bettor, and not a lot of women do this. And you know what? Not a lot of guys can say that they do this for a living. So I'm really lucky that I get to do this.
Why is it you think that there are not more women like yourself that bet on sports? What is the reason
Because
for
they don't
that?
like to watch sports.
You think that's probably the reason?
I think so,
Because a lot of women like gamble, right? If you go into a casino, women, there are a lot of female poker players now these days, blackjack, you know, I mean, but you're right. Maybe it's because the majority of women don't enjoy watching sports. What makes you different?
I don't know. I enjoy watching sports. I think football is the funnest for me to watch, and hockey and baseball. I don't know why I like it. I mean, I grew up watching it with my dad, so maybe that's why. So yeah, I just enjoy the sport. And when I turned 21, I knew that I wanted to try to gamble in sports, and I thought that was the funnest way to make money, other than like blackjack or poker or craps.
Well, you definitely took a big gamble coming on this show, so we appreciate that. Hopefully it'll pay off. Anyway,
very risky.
But, okay, so Minty, what made you decide though? Because there's a difference between being a sports fan and watching sports, and then being a professional sports bettor. So what clicked in your head? It made you say, you know what? I think I'm pretty good at this. Maybe I should start betting on sports. Like, what made that change for you?
Okay, so the difference between a sports fan and a sports bettor, of course, a fan is going to be like, yeah, my team is the Bills, and the Bills are going to win every single game.
Right.
But as a sports gambler, you can't let your heart decide who's going to win the game. You need to study the numbers and see the stats and the analytics of the game and see, okay, yeah, they might win, but are they going to win by a touchdown? Are they going to win by a field goal? Like, it's so different. And when I first got into it, I didn't understand any of it, like the plus money and all that stuff. I didn't understand that. So I had to learn myself by making my own mistakes, gambling myself.
So as I'm sure you've had to deal with this for much of your, men can be very chauvinistic, as you know. They can be pigs, they can be a-holes, they can be jerks. So when they see somebody like you, obviously a very attractive woman, and they see somebody like you giving sports picks, do you get a lot of those men who are chauvinists that say, oh, what does she know about sports? You know, she's a girl. I'm not going to take professional sports picks from a girl. Meanwhile, these are probably the same guys that are losing their rent money. I mean, like, what do you get a lot of that? And that's got to be a little frustrating, right?
Yes, I actually get more support and men who are really, really nice to me about my picks, even though it would be a sucky pick. They'd be like, good job, best of luck. Every so often I will get those men that are like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to you. You probably have like a sugar daddy who's behind the scenes, who's giving you these picks, and you're just scripted. And it's like, it sucks, you know. I can't really do anything or prove myself to them. So if I win, I lose, and if I lose, I lose. So
yeah, well, that's unfortunate that there are idiots out there that treat you that way, because I think you should be treated on your knowledge and your picks, not whether you're a female or a male. So what do you make of an idiot like Vegas Dave, right? Because Vegas Dave appeared on my show when I was at a different station. I didn't know JD years back. And after interviewing him a few times, I realized that this guy's a complete fraud. He's a moron. His family has all this money. And if you don't know who Vegas Dave is, he's this guy on social media who says he gives these whale plays. He bankrupts all of his clients. That's a fact. But yet people still buy his picks because he throws all this money around, and his family is extremely wealthy. And JD is a professional handicapper as well. And we've had this conversation before. That has to bother people like you, because it gives people like you or I shouldn't say specifically people like you, but it gives the business a bad name when you have so many liars out there, which I think at times can be a scummy industry, because there's a lot of Vegas Daves out there that lie, right?
Right, absolutely. So I obviously personally don't know Vegas Dave, but I do know the gist of what he does, and he's great in marketing, and that's why
he's
he
good at
gets
that.
so much
He's
business.
a brilliant marketer. Yeah.
He is a marketing genius, and that's how he gets people to buy his plays and whatnot. But it's horrible bankroll management, the 300 units, the 5,000 units,
it's
whale
ridiculous.
plays. Yeah, it is ridiculous. It gives sports bettors who sell their picks a bad name, which I don't sell my picks, but I work for a company who does have handicappers who sell their picks. So yeah, it does give those handicappers a bad name.
The first time he came on my show years ago, I just want to say this real quickly. The first time he came on my show, I said, "What's your record in Major League Baseball?" He says, "I'm 78-1." So obvious, I know he's absolutely.
Well, and you know what he means by that is that
full of crap.
When he wins a game, the Martingale, when he wins a game, he stops. When he loses a game, he doubles down.
Yeah.
And then if he loses again, he doubles down again.
So
if he
true
loses
story.
again, he doubles down again. And he's saying, well, I haven't lost 4 double downs in a row in 179 plays, so I'm 178-1.
So I called him out for it on the air. I said, well, wait a second, you're just using the Martingale system. And then we get off the air, and he says, Brian, please don't mention that on the air ever again. And when he said that to me, I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have this guy on my show anymore.
He was paying you good money for that,
He
right?
was actually paying. He sponsored my show, but you have to have some standards.
It's actually really bad. He just got engaged to, I believe, a sports reporter. Her name is Holly Holly Saunders is her name.
Under 3.5
months.
months.
I mean, you see him. You see him next to Rihanna. You see him next to a lot of celebrities at like Lakers games. I mean, this guy is creating a big black eye for the sports betting industry.
Who, by the way, Holly Saunders used to date Cliff Kingsbury, and I don't know how she shifted from him to Vegas Dave.
Well, here's a story about Vegas Dave.
He's about a foot shorter, I would say.
So at the time, Vegas Dave, not a lot of people. I've never told this story on the air. At the time, Vegas Dave was sponsoring my show, and I was ready to cut it off. I was in contact with his girlfriend at the time. I won't say her name. They fly to another country, and I'm trying to contact him because he's supposed to be doing my show that week. Mm-hmm. And she sends me a message, and she tells me that they got into this big argument, that he took her passport, and he left her in another country. What type of douchebag does that to a woman? I don't care what type of argument it was. That's the kind of person this guy is.
I remember seeing that on social media, and I remember seeing that on his Instagram, and he said that too, and I was like, that is crazy. Like, no matter how big of a fight it is, you don't take someone's passport and leave them in another country.
And by the way,
horrible.
it's horrible. And by the way, the idea that he's kicked out of these sports books because he's just killing them, no, that's not why. There are other reasons why he's not allowed in some of these. He's barred from these casinos, and they're not reasons to brag about, by the way, number one. Number two, when he posted, when the Kansas City Royals won the World Series, and I guess he made a big 6-figure bet on them, or was it a 7-figure bet? I don't even remember. What the guy does is he bets on the top 6 or 7 teams every year. He loses probably $500,000, and then he brags when he shows his winner. The guy's a fraud.
No, that was an impressive win. I'll give him credit for that. He has some impressive futures.
It's not impressive if you bet on 5 or 6 teams.
You do need to show your losers. Like, for example, I have a major future with LSU at 60-1, but I also have 2 on Oklahoma, a couple on Oregon. I've probably got 4 or 5 grand out in futures, but my upside is strong. And the problem is Vegas Dave, he doesn't show his losers. He only shows and markets his winners, but so does Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Right. You have to be transparent about your losses. And I remember when I first started my gambling Twitter account, I would post some MLB plays and then they would all lose, and I would delete a tweet and then someone called me out on it, and I never did it ever again. Even if it loses, I will still show my face and accept it.
Because in this, and that's good, because in this day and age, I think you need to be honest. I think you need to post all of your plays. You know, professional sports handicappers have bad years, have bad months. Just like a professional poker player could go through a stretch where they might lose 6 or 7 sessions, and then they might win 10 sessions in a row. You know, you're not going to win every play, and I can't stand when these idiots say that they have a lock game of the day. There's no such thing as a lock.
I've never used the term lock before.
Me
Never
neither.
used the term whale before, because there's so much variance that takes place, especially in a sport like football, where an injury could happen, a pick six. Now in baseball, which is my personal best sport, because you have catchers, you have pitchers. I mean, they're all they're relatively consistent. Now you could have like a situation where a Kershaw, his back is hurting him, and maybe it's towards August or towards September, and he's not going to pitch as well as he does because he's a little older and he's got that double hitch stance, or he's got the double hitch delivery. But using the term lock or whale, again, it just makes the handicapping business look bad, because that is, if you may win one, but once you win that big whale player, or that lock, so to speak, that 10-star play, big game, Bob, and I've got this 10-star play, like, you're gonna expect to make that money on a consistent basis, and you're gonna make that bet a couple more times, and you're not gonna win it.
All right, I have to ask you this, Minty. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but what is the most money you've ever bet on a game?
I personally don't like to talk about how much I bet on, because
10,000?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because people will always be like, oh, well, if she bets this much, then she's not a real bettor. Or if she bets this much, that's just stupid. Then she lost this much money on a game. So I think it's kind of irrelevant to talk about how much you bet on, rather than maybe units, like 1 to 5 units. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just curious. That's all. Are you a miserable person like I am to sit next to when I have action on a game? I'm miserable.
Oh.
I'm swearing at the TV. I'm throwing stuff around. I am just awful, and JD, I think, can attest to this. I'm awful to sit next to when I have action on a game.
I certainly can.
Yes, absolutely. At home, I'm awful, but when I'm at the sports books or anything, or the bar, I'm
You're more mellow.
cordial. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm okay.
Fair enough.
Do you think that Twitter has allowed people like Vegas Dave and other, we'll call them scammer handicappers?
Scam artists, yeah.
Do you think that Twitter has actually enabled them to do what they do and make money?
Yes.
I think so, too.
Absolutely. Gambling Twitter, I should say, is a very, very dirty place to be. There's so many scams that happen. I get so many messages that are like, hey, can you log into my sports account here for Caesars and place a bet for me? And you know, everyone's always asking for money and donations and tips and stuff like that. And I just don't really get it.
Donations?
Yeah.
So we had a state senator, Keith Picard, came on our show. And there was going to be a law that was proposed to come into effect in the state of Nevada that forces professional sports handicappers to register with the state like a stockbroker. I think that's a good idea. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I haven't actually heard much of that, but yeah, I'll actually have to look into that.
Right. I think that would take the scammers out of the equation, because
I agree, yeah.
all of your results would be totally transparent, as you suggested earlier, and you could never just falsify records or
Sure,
success.
no question.
Well, I mean, maybe you could, but
Well,
yeah,
it would be
right.
very
It would be
difficult, right.
difficult.
It'd
Exactly.
make it harder. Yeah. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with professional sports handicapper Mintybets from Wager Talk, in usually an occupation that has been dominated years by men. It's a breath of fresh air to see that there are women in the industry that are successful. So I guess my next question for you, let's talk a little football, right? I mean, we got some pretty big football games coming up this weekend. We were having a conversation off the air the other day about Tom Brady. I personally believe that Tom Brady is going to retire at the end of the year. I think he's done. I don't think he wants to go through a real rebuilding process at his age. I think this is it. Do you agree with that? And do you think that we could be witnessing arguably the best quarterback in the history of the NFL, or one of the best, his last game on Saturday?
Yes, I do agree that it's time for Tom Brady to retire. But do I agree that it might be his last game? I don't know. I think he has another season in him, even though I think that he should retire at the end of this game or season or whatever he's going to play.
So they're matched up against Tennessee, and I've talked to JD a little bit about this, and Tennessee is no pushover. They're a good football team.
They are.
When I looked at this line open up at 5.5, I said to myself, whoa, it's almost like they are tempting everybody to take New England. And maybe I am one of the suckers. I did not take the spread. I took the money line, because I find it hard to believe that they haven't been in a game like this in 10 years, right? They've always gotten the bye. I find it hard to believe that at Gillette, that Tom Brady is going to lose in this quote-unquote playing game. I'm not saying they're going to cover. I'm saying I expect them to win. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I guess. Mostly I feel that they'll win, but I actually took Tennessee to cover the 5.5. So I really like Tennessee here. I think that the Patriots, they're not what they used to be. Their defense, statistically, they are good on paper, but those are against teams with losing records. Who have they played? The Redskins, the Giants, the Jets, the Browns.
The Browns, yeah.
Yeah, the Bengals. Like
the Steelers without Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, in their last 5 games, their defense has allowed an average of 21 points per game, and that's a lot. So
and one of those teams was the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But it's still so hard for me to bet against arguably the best quarterback in the history of the game and the best
and Brady,
coach.
yeah.
Let's do the math here, man. I mean, you've got 18 states that have legalized sports betting. Tom Brady has won 6 Super Bowl rings. He rarely has he ever played a wild card game at Gillette?
Not that I can recall.
I don't think he
By
has.
the way, most of the public is on your side because the line opened up, I think, at around 6, 5.5. Now it's down to 5. People are betting hard Tennessee. And again, I am not saying
but
that.
Spread Tennessee does not matter. It's all about moneyline Patriots.
I understand. I'm not saying, and clearly that's not happening. I'm not saying that the Patriots are going to cover the spread.
Right.
I just think they're going to win.
Yeah.
And, that's all. I mean, I expect this to be a close game.
Yeah.
I really do.
I totally agree. I think it's going to be a close game as well. I think Mike Vrabel, he's very familiar with the Patriots, so I think he has a couple tricks up his sleeve, and it's going to be a close game.
Bills-Texans, let's go there. And this is usually not something we do on this show, but we've been doing it the last few days because of that. Things are heating up in the NFL.
Yes.
Texans were favored by 3. Now they're 2.5. Now, I said yesterday on the show, the one upset this coming weekend, I like the Bills. And I know I actually think the Bills win this game outright. And obviously the public is agreeing with me because when I said it yesterday, it was 3. Now it's down to 2.5. I think the Bills win. What do you guys say this game?
I like the Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, I lean Texans in this game for a couple of reasons.
You can't trust Bill O'Brien.
I know.
You can't trust the Texans.
I don't love the Bills' offense. I think they're fine. Actually, I like what the Texans have done at cornerback by adding Hargraves, by adding Garyon Conley. I think J.J. Watt is going to try to play in this game. If I'm correct, that's very important. And I don't. I mean, the Bills they do have Tre'Davious White. They've got a very good secondary. But I like the Texans' weapons at wide receiver, and I prefer Deshaun Watson to Josh Allen. So I would actually I would lean Texans in this game. But I would probably take it if it's only -2. Then I'd probably take the -135 or -140 money line.
The money line. Okay, let's move on to the 2 games that are on Sunday. We got a couple good ones. I think the most entertaining game of the weekend could be the Vikings and the Saints. I do expect a lot of points in this game, and I actually like the over. I liked it when it opened up at 47.5. It's now up at 49, so I'm not so sure about that. But boy, the way the Saints have been playing, and the way Drew Brees has been playing, how could you not take the Saints in this game? I don't see how Minnesota has a chance to win this game outright. As far as the spread goes, 9 is a lot in a playoff game.
It is a lot. I don't know if I'll be betting it for the points, but I do like the Saints here. They're a better team. They've got a top 10 defense, a top 3 scoring offense, and arguably one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos in the league right now. So I definitely like the Saints.
Oh yeah, I would say the best wide receiver quarterback duo with Michael Thomas breaking every single wide receiver record, and then Drew Brees having that insane 29 of 30 game with I think 5 touchdowns 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, he's incredible at his age.
Zimmer is a really, really good coach, especially defensively. The fact that they rested Cousins and a lot of those players last week for a road game when they knew it was a road game makes me think that they believe they can win the game. Is Dalvin Cook playing or not?
I don't think so.
Because if Cook isn't playing, and I mean Mike Boone's fine, he's okay, but he's certainly not Cook. He's not even Alexander Madison. I think the Vikings can cover this spread. I don't think they win the game.
All right, well, let's go to the last game of this weekend in the NFL, and that would be the Seahawks and the Eagles. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Seahawks opened at -1. Now they're up to -2.
Right.
I just don't trust the Eagles. They have been very inconsistent all year. Not to say the Seahawks have been consistent either, but I got to say, man, Seahawks, to me, this is the team that should win this football game, even though it is in Philadelphia, and I understand that does play a role. If this game was in Seattle, I think Seattle would be favored by a touchdown. I really do.
You know, Seattle's been great on the road. I think they're 7-1 on the road this season, and like 5-2 against the spread. I really like Seattle, although both teams are really banged up. I don't trust the Eagles, like you said. I don't think the Eagles are anything special this season. I like Seattle here, but I don't know if I'll be betting it. They're just so banged up on both sides.
It's the type of game I can't really bet either. I look at the points. I think there's probably going to be a lot of points scored in this game. Wentz has found a way to score a lot. This Boston Scott kid who just started playing for the Eagles, he had 3 touchdowns He had 3 touchdowns against the Giants, as well as 84 yards receiving. Wentz is going to find a way to score points, but so was Russell Wilson. The Eagles' defense hasn't been great, especially in their secondary. I would lean over here.
All right, so let's go to who we think is going to win the whole thing. And I'm not going with the chalk here. I'm not betting Baltimore. I've been saying all year that I think the Chiefs are going to get over the hump. I think Holmgren is going to get over the hump. I think Mahomes is a superstar. Well, not think. He is a superstar.
Andy Reid.
I'm sorry, did I say Holmgren?
You did.
I apologize. I don't know why I get them confused. You know, Holmgren was the former Hartford Whalers head hockey coach, so maybe I get him confused with football. Andy Reid, I apologize. I think Andy Reid is going to finally get over the hump and I think win a Super Bowl. And I don't know, I don't think this team has many weaknesses. It's just my opinion. Pat Mahomes appears to be healthy. We all know how good he is. I think if the Patriots get through, I think the Chiefs beat the Patriots. I think they move on to the Super Bowl. I like the Chiefs. Maybe I'm crazy here, but I think the Chiefs win it all. What do you guys think about that?
I like the Chiefs, but I actually have San Francisco to win it all.
That's because you're just a big Garoppolo fan, are you not? Be honest, how many Garoppolo posters do you have?
I don't have any Garoppolo posters. I think he's a great quarterback. I think the team, it's a very complete team on both sides of the ball. I mean, defense has kind of tumbled downhill a little bit. They can fix that. I like the Niners to win it.
Have you,
but
JD,
she is a George Kittle fan.
JD, have you? Okay, so
Everybody's a George Kittle fan.
I'll tell you
How could you not
I'm
be?
going to tell you my story here. I'm at a Vegas Golden Knights game. We're in a suite. And I have a couple friends that were with me that could. I'm sitting right next to him and Garoppolo. And they were just jerks. They were just jerks.
Oh, yeah, you said
and by
that,
the way,
huh?
I'm not being a fanboy. I wasn't asking for an autograph. I wasn't asking for a picture. They just didn't want to talk to anybody. They just wanted to sit there and eat their popcorn and root on there. I think they were playing Nashville.
That's what I do at a party.
Does that make them jerks?
Yeah, does that make them jerks?
Well, we were being nice to them. It's not like they were surrounded by people asking for pictures and autographs.
You didn't get the attention that you felt you deserved, Brian.
No,
which is fine. I understand that.
You guys, said, hey, what do you guys think of the stadium? What do you think? Just regular talk. And my friends asked Garoppolo for a picture. No, bro, I'm not doing pictures today. It's like, dude, there's just like 3 people here, bro. Don't be an a-hole. I'm sorry. They're jerk.
Aww.
But you know what, Garoppolo? Have you talked to one woman who does not find Garoppolo attractive? One.
It's never been a conversation I've had with a woman before.
I don't think he asks random women that.
No.
I do all the time. I just go on the strip and I ask people, hey, what do you think about Garoppolo? Would you sleep with him? No, I don't do that. But no, but seriously.
With a foghorn.
Maybe I'm just a little jealous. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe
it was just an off day. Like maybe his cat died or something earlier that day.
I doubt
Or maybe
it.
he took 1,000 pictures the day before.
Yeah.
And he was in Las Vegas enjoying himself.
I guess so. He gets comp tickets. You're in a suite. There's not a lot of people.
But how did you
Take
get?
a frickin'
How did
picture.
you get his Old Navy?
Oh yeah, that's a funny story. That I stole one of
Hoodie.
his shirts. Yeah,
Stop it.
I did. His sweatshirt. He left it on the chair and he left, and I took it with me. Yeah, I took.
He
his
took
shirt.
it and he gave it to me.
To
did,
you?
And
Why?
he said this is Jimmy
Garoppolo's.
Garoppolo, and it was Old
We
Navy.
should give it to her.
It was like a $15. I mean, it wasn't
Yeah.
expensive.
He was wearing a hoodie. He left it on the chair next to me. He was a jerk. I was pissed off. He left. I did not return it to Lost and Found. And I said to my friend Jose, I said, I am going to take this sweatshirt. I have Garoppolo's sweatshirt. He's a jerk. He should have taken a picture with you. I'm taking
And
his
he's
shirt.
going to feel that because he only signed a $99 million contract.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
my
and-
goodness.
He's going to feel that $15.
So we only have about a minute here to go. And by the way, Minty, thank you so much for coming
Yeah, thanks
in.
a lot.
I really
Of course,
appreciate
thanks
it.
for having me.
Sure. I want you to give out your social media and all that stuff. So
Oh,
how do
yeah.
people follow you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at Mintybets. There's no spaces, no underscores. It's just MINTY Bets, BETS. Also, I take over the Wager Talk Instagram, so you guys can follow the Instagram, and I'll post videos daily of my picks and promotions that we're having at Wager Talk on Instagram.
Well, you're very good at what you do. One day you'll probably steal my job. That would not surprise me. But you know what? I wouldn't say that about everybody because, JD, as you know, there's some people in this town that cover sports and call themselves sports handicappers that are not very good at what they do. You are really good at what you do, and we hope we can see more of you here. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
We appreciate
you.
it.
Of course, Happy New Year's, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Happy New Year, and we will see if our picks are correct.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Man, 2019 in the books, man. So we're taking tomorrow off. We're going to be playing the best of, and we will be back live on Thursday. So please join us on Thursday. Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports will be here. We will have some very special guests lined up for you on Thursday. And our producer, Stein, will be back. He's been on vacation, it feels like, for 3 weeks. That idiot is going to be back here. So we get our producer back. That'll take a little bit of pressure off me. I hope everybody has a fantastic New Year's Eve. Have a great New Year's. Please be safe out there. Do not drink and drive, okay? Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. We really do appreciate it. The legend himself, Sean Hannity, is coming up next, everybody. Have a great day.